All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Christy Moore, and I'm the Family to Family Health Information Center program lead with the Exceptional Children's Assistance Center. And I am super happy to have Jeff Hancock with us today. He's the Director of Supplemental Savings Programs with the Office of State Treasurer. And he's going to talk to us today about the NC-ABLE program. And there have been some recent changes, positive recent changes with the NC-ABLE program. And NC-ABLE laws can change periodically. In this instance, the changes were very positive for families. So we definitely wanted to make sure that everybody's aware of those changes. And then also, if you're new to NC-ABLE accounts or don't know a whole lot about them, just to give you some basic information about eligibility, features, and benefits of the program. I am recording this webinar, and I will send out a follow-up email this week that includes the slides, a link to the recording, and then any other information that gets shared during this webinar, I will share in the follow-up email. We have a lot of folks joining us today. I'm super, super thrilled about that. And that we hope you have tons of questions. Please put your questions in the Q&A and not the chat. So we can make sure, after Jeff gets through all of his material, we're going to go to the Q&A section to look for the questions, and we will go through those one at a time. So feel free to put them in there as you think of them, or if you want to wait until you get through all the material and then put them in there, either way is fine. But that is where we will go to answer questions in the Q&A. So without any further ado, I would like to turn it over to you, Jeff.
Great, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Yes, great. Just wanted to start again by saying that as Christy mentioned, federal ABLE laws as well as state ABLE laws, along with the NC-ABLE's programs, terms, and conditions are subject to change. So we always encourage folks to go out to our website at ncable.gov to get the most recent information. But today I'm going to share with you some information about the ABLE program, and some of this applies to all ABLE programs across the nation. So I'm going to start out and give you a little bit of history regarding the NC-ABLE program. So first, let me say, back in 2014, the Achieving a Better Life Experience, that's what ABLE stands for, Achieving a Better Life Experience Act, was signed into law by President Obama. That is a federal law. In the following year, the NC-ABLE Act was enacted, and the NC-ABLE program joined the National ABLE Alliance in 2016, and we started offering our accounts in 2017. So we've been offering accounts for close to a decade now in terms of the NC-ABLE program. Some of the recent changes I wanted to make sure that you were aware about. One really positive change occurred earlier this year, back in June. On June the 26th, we worked with the North Carolina General Assembly to have some language removed from the NC-ABLE Act, which now prevents Medicaid from recovering funds directly from an NC-ABLE account. So whereas when a person passed away, Medicaid had the right to claw back or be paid back for some of that member's expenses that were covered by Medicaid, Medicaid is not allowed to recover funds from ABLE accounts unless that's required by federal law. And there's a few instances where federal law does require that. And it's typically where someone who is age 55 or older who is getting some type of long-term support or care from Medicaid. But as a general rule, Medicaid cannot claw back from an ABLE account any further. That's, it comes as a direct result of us hearing feedback from parents and others who may have been hesitant to open up an NC ABLE account. We took that feedback. We went and worked with the General Assembly as well as our partners over in the Department of Health and Human Services to make that happen. So we're really proud of that. And again, that went into law June the 26th of this year. The next thing I want to make you aware of, which starts beginning of next year on January 1st, 2026, is the ABLE Age Adjustment Act. So currently, the age of disability onset is 26. Starting next year, that changes to age 46. And that's a very positive change for all ABLE programs, as approximately another 6 million people will be eligible for ABLE accounts. And we expect that about 1.5 million of those 6 million will be veterans that are coming back from foreign conflict. So really kind of helps those who have served in our military with this change in age of onset. As I mentioned before, ABLE is a federal law, and there are 46 states that sponsor programs today. We all follow the same federal laws, and so a lot of these programs operate very similarly. Where some of these programs can differ is in the investment options that they offer to account owners, as well as the fees that are charged to account owners. And we'll cover both of those later in the presentation. But also you'll see on this map, there are some states that are color-coded in green. Those programs are open to all U.S. residents. So anyone in any of the 50 states can open up a program from any of the states that are color-coded in green. Those that are in the tan color or gold color, those are only open to residents of their own states. So let me talk a little bit about the NC ABLE program. I mentioned earlier that we are a member of the National ABLE Alliance, which is a consortium of states along with Washington, D.C. So there's 19 different ABLE programs that have come together. And we did so be able to use the buying power of all 19 different programs when it comes to negotiating fees and features with the program managers. If NC ABLE were to go at it alone, we wouldn't have the same leverage that we have without the other 18 programs in the Alliance. So it's really helped us to be able to negotiate very, very competitive fees for our account owners. We're very transparent with the fees that we are charged and the cost of the program. And I'm going to cover that in detail later in the slideshow. And again, we are your partner in advocacy with the North Carolina General Assembly. Again, that's kind of how the Medicaid clawback provision was removed from the law, us going to the General Assembly and advocating on that. So, as we get feedback from folks and where we think we can make changes to the program, we do take that to the General Assembly and attempt to have that put into law. So let's talk about the benefits of the NC ABLE program. So NCABLE allows people living with disabilities to save and invest in a tax-advantaged account without jeopardizing any of their public means-tested benefits, such as SSI, Medicaid, HUD, SNAP, and others. Now, you don't have to be on the public benefits to have an ABLE account, but we certainly know that population has been trained not to save any more than the $2,000 in terms of resources. Having an ABLE account allows someone to save beyond the $2,000 resource limit that Medicaid and others place on them without jeopardizing those benefits. And in terms of it being a tax-advantaged account, the money that the account earns, so the interest and earnings that are accrued in the account, remain tax-free when they are withdrawn from the account, when those monies are spent on a qualified disability expense. And we'll cover those a little bit later. So let's talk about eligibility and certification for the program. So as I mentioned earlier, currently the age of disability onset is 26. So as long as your disability was present before the age of 26, again, starting next year, that's going to be age 46. And then one of the following three is true. So one, you either have a disability that you can show with a written diagnosis from a licensed physician, or if you're eligible for SSI or SSDI due to your disability, or you have one of the conditions from the Social Security Administration's compassionate allowances list. So again, as long as your disability was onset or present before the age of 26, soon to be 46, and only one of these three items are true, you are eligible to open up an ABLE account. In terms of certification, it is a self-certification program. So at the time you open up the ABLE account, you certify that you are eligible to have an account. And then every year after, you just have to certify that you are still eligible to maintain an ABLE account. It might sound a little bit onerous, but it's not. It's fairly simple to do that certification when you open up the account. In terms of actually opening up an ABLE account, so who can open up an ABLE account? Well, of course, the account owner themselves, the person with the disability. This is the one who will own the account. They can open up the account. If that person has a power of attorney, their power of attorney can open up an ABLE account on their behalf. And for account owners that do not have legal capacity, the following folks in order of priority can open an account. So an agent under a power of attorney, a guardian of the estate, a spouse, a parent, sibling, grandparent, or an SSA appointed representative payee. And what I mean by these are in order of priority. If there's somebody on the list that is higher than you, that is willing and able to open the account, that's who should open the account. So for an example, if I had a sibling and I wanted to open up an ABLE account for them, but my sibling is married and their spouse is willing to do it and able to do it, then the spouse should open that account and not me. So again, if somebody that is higher on the list is willing and able, that should be the person that opens that account. In terms of actually opening an ABLE account, it's a fairly simple process. You can do that at our website at ncable.org. It's now .gov, but ncable.org will still work for the time being. You can go to our website and enroll. It takes about 20 minutes to open an account. We do have a checklist on our website that tells you everything that you need to have in front of you when you sit down to open up an account. That will help to make sure that you have all the right documents and things in front of you in doing so. If you're not comfortable opening an account online, we do have paper forms that you can print off, complete, and mail into the program manager. So you can do it by paper or you can do it online. When you open up an NCABLE account, that account must be funded within 90 days, and you can do so with a minimum of $25. So if you open an account and you fail to fund it, after 90 days, the program will close that account. We will assume that the account was either opened in error or that account is no longer needed. So it's very important that if you're not able to fund the account at the time you open it, to be sure to come back and fund that within 90 days. If you need some assistance in opening up the ABLE account, we do have a service center that is available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and their number is here on the screen. So again, a fairly easy process to actually open up an account. Once you have the account open, there are two different types of folks that can provide support to the account owner. The first is what we call a interested party. So a interested party can be added to an ABLE account. This person would get read-only access to the account, so they can see the account balance. They can then provide guidance or assistance to the account owner, but they do not have the ability to transact and manage the account. They can simply see the account, see the balance, and from there, they can provide guidance to the account owner. Examples of this might be a financial advisor or a CPA, or maybe even some type of legal counsel. For individuals who may need more than simple guidance, we do have what's called an authorized individual. An authorized individual can be added to the account, and they get all the same rights as the account owner themselves. So they would be able to actually manage and transact on the account just as if they were the account owner. So, examples of this might be a parent or a guardian, a sibling, or even an SSA representative payee. We often see an authorized individual on an account where the account owner themselves do not have legal capacity. In terms of documentation that the program requires, when a authorized individual is being added to the account, let's say it's a parent, we just ask for the birth certificate to be provided, showing that relationship. If it's a guardian, the document from the court showing that guardianship. Power of attorney, of course, the power of attorney documentation. If it's a sibling or a grandparent, we do have an affidavit on our website that you can download, fill out, and have that notarized. If it's a spouse, the marriage certificate, and if it is a SSA appointed representative payee, then the letter from the Social Security Administration. So let's talk a little bit about the contribution sources and limits. So the good news here is pretty much anybody and everybody can contribute to an account owner's account. So of course the account owner themselves can put money in. Friends and family of the account owner can contribute to the account owner's account. If the account owner is working, the account owner's employer can also contribute money to the account. If the account owner happened to have a 529 college savings plan and had monies left over in that account, they can roll those monies over from the 529 college savings plan into their ABLE account. So those are really the contribution sources in terms of getting money into an account owner's account. In terms of limits, there is a $19,000 contribution and rollover limit for this year, 2025. Those limits are typically indexed by year. There's also a $100,000 limit when it comes to the amount of an ABLE account balance that is excluded from the resource limit calculation for SSI. As I mentioned earlier, this allows an individual to save beyond the $2,000 resource limit without having an impact on those benefits. When SSI goes to do their resource limit calculations, they exclude the first $100,000 in an ABLE account. And then in terms of a maximum account balance for 2025, that is a $550,000 account balance. What that means is if the account were to reach that level, you can no longer make contributions to the account. Of course, the account will still earn interest and earnings on the investments, but you can no longer make contributions to the account. If you were to spend the account down below that account balance limit, you would then be able to make additional contributions at that point. So the next thing I wanted to talk about and to make you aware of is what's called the able to work provision. So for those account owners that are part of the workforce, they have an expanded limit. So in addition to the $19,000 per year for 2025, if the account owner was able to, they can contribute the lesser of their earned income or the one-person poverty level for the prior year. And for 2024, that was $15,060. So if an individual had the means, they could contribute $34,060 for 2025. So it's a great way for those account owners that are part of the workforce to take advantage of some additional saving limits. Now, how do you get money into an ABLE account? Of course, you can write a check and send that into the program manager. You can do a bank-to-bank transfer, or what's called an electronic funds transfer into the ABLE account. Again, if the account owner is working, they can do payroll deduction into an ABLE account. And if they're on SSI, they can have their SSI monies directly deposited as well. And then for friends and families who are wanting to make a gift, we do have the U-Gift feature on our accounts, and you can find more about that at ugiftable.com. So those are the ways in which you can actually get monies into an ABLE account. So let's talk a little bit about the investment options that are available to an account owner. So now you have money in the account. How do you invest that? So the first option we have is a checking account option. These options are FDIC insured up to $250,000. You are allowed to have a debit card issued on that account. Of course, it being a checking account, these accounts do have check writing privileges. You can use your debit card at an ATM access or wherever a debit card is accepted. And so a checking account is a really good option for those account owners that are, say, paying their rent on a monthly basis, or paying for utilities, or something to where they have ongoing monthly expenses. This is a great feature for them to be able to utilize and make that an easy part of their daily life. We do have some other investment options. The next one is the Vanguard Cash Reserves Federal Money Market Fund. So it is a conservative option. It does have a little bit higher yield than what a checking account would have. You can see the latest yield as of early August was about 4.23%. And so this is a really good option for those that are very conservative and are not very, that are very risk averse. For those who may be seeking a little bit greater return, we do have some longer term investment options. There's 6 of them. They range from a conservative to aggressive. These options are just like investing in the stock market. So the underlying components of these portfolios are stocks and bonds. These are not insured, and the performance is not guaranteed. But what we see people using these for is, someone who may be saving up for a larger expense, type of item, say like a piece of assistive technology, or maybe they're wanting to buy a house or a car. These longer term investment options, may be, something you want to look into. We often see parents of young children as well invest in these longer term investment options and allow the account to grow over the life of their child, so that when the child reaches the age of majority, then they have a little bit of a financial account that they can turn over to their child. So it really depends on what your needs are, short-term versus long-term, what might be the best option for you. But those are the investment options that we make available through the program. Let's talk about, being able to withdraw money out, and a little bit about qualified disability expenses. So first, again, as I mentioned before, these are tax advantaged accounts. So when you make a withdrawal from the account, the earnings or interest on the account remain tax-free when you use the money for a qualified disability expense, or what we call a QDE. And a QDE is broadly defined by federal law. And so the way we like to think about it is, a QDE is any expense that's related to the account owner's disability that can be used for the benefit of the account owner in maintaining or improving their health, independence, or quality of life. And you can see some of the broad categories here on the screen. Things like education, healthcare, housing, and that is a kind of a broad umbrella. But things like food, mortgage, rent, taxes, utilities, your transportation, whether it's buying a car or using some form of public transportation, legal services, financial services, technology. We see a lot of times people using their ABLE account to purchase some type of assistive technology that relates to their disability. And funeral expenses and burial expenses are also categorized as a QDE. So again, a QDE is very broadly defined by federal law. So we'd like to think about it as something that relates to the account owner's disability and is used for the benefit of the account owner in maintaining or improving their health, independence, or quality of life. As I mentioned before, QDEs are defined by federal law, but they're very vague and very broadly defined. There is no comprehensive list of goods and services that are always QDE. We here at the program do not determine what is a QDE. The agencies responsible for that would be the IRS, as well as the Social Security Administration, for determining what is a QDE. So we do provide you some documentation to assist you in your record keeping. We do encourage you to review your account at least on a monthly basis. We do encourage you to keep your receipts, especially for larger ticket items. So if you're ever subject to an audit, you'd have that kind of information. I don't really think it's necessary if you're buying food at a grocery store, to maintain the receipts for those types of smaller items, but certainly for your larger ticket purchases, we encourage you to save those receipts. We do provide some tax forms that assist with that. So you each year get a 5498, which shows the contributions made to your account through the year, and then a 1099 for any of the withdrawals that are made. So let's talk about how you get money out of an ABLE account. So again, if you have the checking account, you can use your debit card to withdraw monies from an ATM. You can write a check from your checking account. If you don't have the checking account, you can contact the program manager and they can write you a paper check, or they can do a bank-to-bank transfer. So if you have an outside checking account or bank account that you would like the monies moved into, they can move the monies into your outside banking account. Then, of course, as I mentioned before, you can also use the debit card where a debit card is accepted. So those are the ways to get money out of your ABLE account. So let's talk about the fees that may be assessed to each account. So here are the fees that may be charged. So the first fee is charged to every account, and that is the annual account maintenance fee. That fee is $31 per year. That fee gets increased to $56 if you opt to have paper statements mailed to you from your account. So again, $31 per year for electronic delivery and $56 a year for paper. If you invest in one of the investment options, being the money market through one of the longer term investment options, the fee is 0.24% of 1% to 0.34% of 1%. An easy way to kind of think about that is $2.40 to $3.40 per $1,000 that you have invested on an annual basis. And then if you have the checking account, there is a $2 per month fee from Fifth Third. But the good news is that fee is easily waived if you simply either maintain a daily account balance of $250 or more, or if you simply elect electronic delivery of your statements, then that fee is $0 for the checking account. So those are the fees that can be assessed on an account. Let me touch base a little bit on this, something that is fairly new. This went into place last fall, so about a year ago, which is called Entity Account Management. So we do have entities that help ABLE account owners manage their account. One good example of this might be a group home, where you have several people living in that group home and you have an individual that works for that group home, and they actually assist one or more ABLE account owners with their account as the authorized individual. This entity management dashboard gives them a single place where they can go and manage multiple accounts in a single place. So you can kind of see there on the bottom right hand how that would look if they are assisting in managing multiple accounts. So instead of having to log in and out of each single account, they can do that from this dashboard, which makes it really convenient for those who are working for an entity organization that represents able account owners. We always like to talk a little bit about able accounts and special needs trust in terms of how these may be able to be used. So we like to think about these as two different tools in the toolbox. There are certainly, pluses to each one of these, and it really depends on the individual specific needs and goals on which might be better. For example, we mentioned that there is a annual contribution limit to an ABLE account. That's not the case with a special needs trust. So if someone were to inherit a larger sum of money, a special needs trust might be the right tool for them. At the same time, special needs trust funds cannot be used for housing, whereas you can use an ABLE account to pay for housing. So again, there's different usage of those. We do see from time to time people will have both, and they'll actually transfer money from their special needs trust into their ABLE account to be able to then use the ABLE account monies on some of those things where they're not able to use the special needs trust funds for. If you are interested in learning a little bit more about these, we do have a webinar on our website where one of our in-house attorneys and a special needs trust attorney compare and contrast the two accounts. So again, that's a very good resource if you want to go there and learn a little bit more about how these accounts may work together. Also want to touch base on death of an account owner. And this is where that law that we talked about from June the 26th earlier this year plays an important part. So today, if an account owner passes away, we collect all of the final qualified disability expenses. We pay out all of the final qualified disability expenses. And once those are paid out, then any monies left over would go to the account owner's estate or to a successor account owner if they have one listed on the account. Before the law that went into effect June the 26th, Medicaid would have had an opportunity to recover funds from the account. So again, after the June 26th law was put into effect and that language was removed, Medicaid no longer has the opportunity to claw back. And so any monies that remain after all QDEs are paid go to the account owner's estate or successor account owner. So let's talk about some resources that are available. And so, of course, on our website at ncable.org, we have a lot of resources. We got a lot of content on our page. We also are fairly active on social media, on Facebook, on X, and on YouTube. So please, go out and take advantage of these resources to learn more about the program. There's also the ABLE National Resource Center at ablenrc.org. They have a lot of good content on their page as well. So a lot of good resources for you in terms of being able to learn more about not only the NCAA ABLE program, but ABLE programs in general. So that's the end of my prepared remarks. Certainly would like to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeff. That was great information. Just to make sure all folks know, thank you, Kristen. You put a link to the YouTube Let's direct everybody's attention to that real quick. NC Able Accounts and Special Needs Trust YouTube link. I think Kristen put that in the chat, and I will also include that in the follow-up email because that is a great resource. We will get started answering some of the questions, so feel free to add more questions in the Q&A as you think of them. If you did put a question in the chat, if you wouldn't mind, please putting it over in the Q&A just so we can make sure that we don't miss it. Chat sometimes gets bogged down with some other things. We want to make sure that we answer everybody's question. Okie doke. First question is, will we get the slides? Yes, absolutely. So I will send a follow-up email that will include the slides, a link to the recording of this presentation, and the YouTube video that Kristen just linked in the chat. Next question is, what does age of disability onset change mean?
So currently today, an individual's disability has to onset before the age of 26 to be eligible for an ABLE account. Starting January 1st, 2026, because of the ABLE Age Adjustment Act, the age of onset is going to change to 46. So now you have another 20 years of folks that will now be eligible for ABLE accounts. So basically we're expanding the eligible population for those who may have had a disability that onset between the ages of 27 and 46.
Thank you, Jeff. And that's great news for folks, who might become disabled through an illness or an accident, between the ages of 26 and 46. Let's see. I do see some folks still putting questions in the chat. If you wouldn't mind, please just put them in the Q&A so we can make sure that we get to them and they don't get lost. Next question is, can the webinar recording be shared? Yep, we just answered that one. Next question is, there's a scenario. An account holder deposits their paycheck into their primary bank account. Then they transfer a portion designated for rent into their ABLE account. So questions regarding that scenario. How long does the account holder need to wait before using the ABLE account to pay rent?
So when you withdraw monies for rent, it just needs to be withdrawn in the month that the rent is due.
What are the available options for paying rent from the NC ABLE account? For example, debit, check, electronic transfer, etc.
Yep. So we typically see people use, that's what they utilize the checking account for. But whatever, if your landlord would accept the electronic debit from your checking account, then they will, you could do an electronic debit from the ABLE checking account to the landlord. So either writing the check or doing an electronic debit.
Thank you. Okay, next question is, does an ABLE account replace a trust account?
No. So I don't know when they say trust account, if they're talking about a special needs trust or just a regular trust account, but an ABLE account does not replace that. Again, the ABLE account is a tool because it's a tax advantaged, savings and investment account. And one of the main goals of the ABLE account is really to help the population that is on the means tested public benefits and allowing them to save beyond the $2,000 resource limit. So again, an ABLE account does not replace a trust account.
And Kristen Merrick linked a webinar in the chat that explains the difference between the two. And we also have a webinar on our YouTube channel that discusses the two. So I can share that in the follow-up email as well. It's a common question. It's a good question. Thank you. Next one is, how will SSI be affected after the 100,000?
So if an individual's account grows over the $100,000, when SSI does their resource calculation, Any of the amount over that. So let's say that you have $105,000 in your account, and SSI goes to do their resource calculation. They're going to count that $5,000, which is above the 100,000. So they would use that $5,000 amount, and since that's beyond the $2,000 resource limit, you may see your benefits suspended or reduced. But all you got to do is spin the ABLE account down back below the $100,000 limit, and then you would see any of those suspended benefits reinstated.
Thank you. Okay. Next question is, will this recording be available afterwards to those who registered? Yes, it will go out to those who attended and just to everyone who registered as well. Next question is, can you roll your current IRA or 401k into this account?
You can put monies into the account, so you could withdraw money from your 401k and put into this account. But again, it's still subject to the $19,000 annual contribution limit. So if you have a large 401k account balance, you couldn't, do that large of a balance. Again, you have the annual contribution limit. But I don't know, a 401k, if you're using that on a pre-tax basis, it has its own tax advantages. So you may not, gain much by going into an ABLE account from a 401k. So you would really want to kind of, look and compare the 401k to the ABLE account in terms of, what you are looking to benefit from.
Can there be more than one ABLE account set up per beneficiary? In other words, can a grandparent and a parent both set up an account?
So no, an ABLE account owner is only allowed to have one ABLE account at a time. So, that's not just within the NC ABLE program, that's within any ABLE program. So an account owner is only allowed to have one ABLE account nationwide.
Okay. Does decision-making for an account automatically transfer to the beneficiary at age of majority, meaning age 18, assuming the beneficiary is mentally competent? The concern being similar to UGMA funds going to a person who might be legally competent but not very wise yet.
So yeah, at the age of majority, the account owner would become the decision maker on the account, assuming that they do have legal capacity. And so, a parent would just simply, and that's not to mean that the parent can't still be an AI or an authorized individual on that account. But so that would be between the parent and the child at the age of majority.
Okay, next question. I think this is in reference back to one of the other questions about paying rent. She said, this is the only question that hasn't been answered. How long does the account holder need to wait before using the ABLE account to pay rent?
So I'm not sure. I'm trying to answer it the way I think what I'm hearing is. So I can save money in the ABLE account and I don't have to pay rent from it right away. If that's it. So, I could have money that builds in the account. It's just that if I'm going to pay my September rent and I withdraw and I need to withdraw the money from in the month of September, I can't take money out in the month of September, hold that in cash to pay my October, November, or December rent. So when you pull the money out to pay rent, it needs to be used to pay rent during that month.
Okay, and I think it goes back to the scenario where if they take money out of their regular bank account to put into the ABLE account to then pay rent, I guess was the question. How long do they have to wait before they can
don't
pay
have to wait at all.
money? They don't have to wait at all. Okay.
Once the money is credited to their account, they can turn around and spend it.
Okay. Next question is it better to go through Fifth Thirds or does it matter?
So the ABLE account, even though we offer the Fifth Third checking option, these accounts are not available through a brick and mortar branch. So you can't walk into a branch and say, I want to open up an ABLE account. You have to go through, you have to go through the program to do that. And part of the reason is we have to be able to track any of the contributions made in order to adhere to the $19,000 annual contribution limit. And so you just can't walk into a branch and either deposit or withdraw money. These accounts are not available through a brick and mortar branch.
Okay, if you have multiple ABLE accounts, i.e. one checking and one investment, do the financial limits apply to each account or the accounts in totality?
So there's just a single ABLE account. You have multiple investment options within that single ABLE account. So you can have monies in one of the longer term investment options and monies in the checking account. You can invest your money in any of the investment options available.
And it's still one account. It's still one ABLE account.
It's still one account.
Yes. So those limits would apply to that whole account. Yes. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Next question. Can you give examples of financial categories? We saw housing, legal, etc. Please clarify examples of financial. Appears to be broad.
Yeah. So if you need to pay, you say, fees for a certain type of account, you could use that to pay those kind of fees for a financial account. If you're getting some type of financial advice and you're paying a fee for that advice, then you can use your ABLE account to help pay for those types of financial services.
Next question is, if the individual becomes no longer eligible per the disability definition, what happens to the assets in the account? Can they be rolled over to another type of account?
So if an individual, based on the definitions, are no longer eligible for the account, then and let me research this and get back with you, because I don't want to tell you anything incorrectly, but I believe then those funds would need to be withdrawn from the account. But let me research that and get an answer back to you, Christy, that you can then share with the entire audience here.
Sure. Thank you so much. Okay, that'll be great. Let's see. Next one. If one has spent money from an ABLE account that the IRS later says is not a QDE, what is the penalty?
So there is a 10% penalty on the earnings portion of the account. So let's, for example, if you made if you spent $1,000 and when you withdrew that $1,000, so say that 900 of it was your contribution basis and only $100 of that was the interest or earnings, there would be a 10% penalty on that $100 of that interest or earnings portion.
All right, next question. Why would you have a traditional checking account? It sounds like the ABLE account would suffice.
Yeah, so it just all depends on if you have other needs. Here, at least in the state of North Carolina, we do have a limit on the number of Fifth Third branches. We don't have, certainly Fifth Third is a little bit more populous than other areas of the country. But if for some reason you just really needed to be able to have an account where you could walk into a branch and be serviced that way, you may want to have another type of checking account, because again, these accounts are not available through a brick and mortar branch.
And also, NC ABLE laws can change at any time.
Yep.
Can you speak about the recent change in legislation regarding rolling over 529 funds into ABLE? What are the limits of the rollover? How long does one have to fully roll over to ABLE? Can they wait until the disabled child is at college age or beyond?
So, yeah, again, so if you have monies in a 529 college savings program, you can then, assuming no other contributions to the account, you could roll over $19,000 per year to that ABLE account. So again, the annual contribution limit does also include any rollovers from a college 529 plan.
How do you close an ABLE account?
So you would contact the program manager, and if you have monies left in the account, you would submit to us any final QDEs, and we would get those paid out. And then, assuming the account goes to zero, you would just instruct the program manager to close that account. And I don't know if the person's asking this in terms of, let's say that you live in North Carolina, but then you move to another state. While we're still open to residents of all states, and you wouldn't necessarily need to close an NC ABLE account, we do see people who move and want to have an ABLE account from that state. You could transfer your funds from our ABLE account to that ABLE account and then close down your NC ABLE account. But the program manager would help with that closing.
Thank you. Can a paycheck go directly into an ABLE account without having to be reported, reducing SSI? I assume no.
So yeah, so I like to think of an ABLE account as an asset shield or a resource shield. It is not an income shield. So even if you have an account owner who does direct deposit a portion or all of their paycheck into their ABLE account, SSI still includes that in their income calculations.
These are great questions, guys. Good. My son is a minor. If we put money in the account, can we use it now if needed, or do we have to wait until he's of legal age to manage it himself?
Nope, you can use the account now. So as a parent, and you would be on the account as an authorized individual, which gives you the rights to manage and transact on the account, and you'll be able to use it just as the account owner would.
What happens to the account if the account owner moves to another state?
So again, the NC ABLE program is open to all U.S. residents, so you don't have to move your ABLE account. You can stay in the NC ABLE program, but if you want to move it to another state in terms of convenience, then you would just have your assets from your NC ABLE account transferred into an account with the new state and close the NC ABLE account. Again, since you're only allowed to have one account nationwide, you would have to open up, transfer assets, and then close the NC ABLE account.
Next question is there a local able to apply at Pender County? I applied online and they wanted me to send SSC and person info in the mail, which I'm not doing. I think SSC might be Social Security card, maybe, and personal information in the mail, which I'm not doing. Is there a way to apply in person?
There is not a way to apply in person. But if that person wants to reach out to me here at the treasurer's office, and Kristen, if you're on here, if you could put my email or your email in the chat, we'd be happy to contact that individual to see what we can work out.
Great, thank you, Jeff. If you're getting near the $100,000 limit, can you move money to a special needs trust?
So that would be a withdrawal from the ABLE account. And again, if it's not being spent on a qualified disability expense, then any monies or any earnings or the interest portion of that account would be subject to a 10% penalty.
Okay. Next question is, I see everything in English. Is there any information in Spanish for non-English speakers?
I'll need to check with the program manager. I don't believe we have any Spanish in terms of the website. We here at the program have translated a few of our informational materials. So I could provide you some of those print materials in Spanish, but I don't believe the website or anything like that is in Spanish.
And Rosa, I will look to see maybe if we can caption this recording in Spanish. I'll check and see if we can do that. But thank you, Jeff, for checking on that. Let's see. What is an example of something you cannot spend the ABLE account money on?
I guess again, we like to think about a QDE as something that relates to the account owner's disability, and is used to improve their health or independence. Let's say that I'm trying to think of what might be an example of that. But say that you have somebody that's deaf, and they spend it on a non-hearing related item. That could possibly be deemed as a non QDE by the IRS or by the Social Security Administration, depending on what the item is, if it's not related to their disability.
What is the most long-term stock market investment in ABLE, and how do I change it?
So again, in terms of investments, we have these 6 model portfolios. Probably the aggressive option would be the most long-term, being 90% equities and 10% bonds. In terms of if you were invested in that and you wanted to change that investment option, you would contact the program manager and tell them you want to switch what's invested in that option to one of the other 7 options available, which would include the checking account.
Can you spend ABLE money on clothing?
If that clothing, I would say yes, very broadly, because I would see that as a way for the account owner to maintain or improve their quality of life or their independence.
Can the money in the account be used for recreation or entertainment, like vacations, purchasing a computer, or attending an event?
So again, we don't determine what is a QDE. If those types of items can be related to the account owner's disability and can be shown that it improves or maintains their quality of life or independence, then it may be deemed as a QDE.
Can funds be used to purchase things like clothing and other basic needs that don't fall into specific categories?
Again, basic needs or things that an account owner would be using to maintain or improve their quality of life or their independence. So things like a cell phone bill, food, other types of basic needs are considered QDEs.
If a grandparent has a savings account, an investment account, and/or a 529 account for their grandchild, can all of the accounts be transferred to ABLE accounts for the grandchild? Is there someone able to assist with talking through the transfer?
So you can contact our program manager. They look on that screen. They can help with that. So you can see their phone number there on the lower left of the screen. They can help talk through that. But yes, you can take money from whatever resource you have on the outside and contribute that to an ABLE account subject to the annual account contribution limits.
Are there penalties for not spending on disability?
Again, if you withdraw monies from your account and you do not spend it on a QDE, then the earnings or interest portion would be subject to a 10% penalty.
Do you offer counseling to people who may need help determining what they can spend the money on? My child is his own guardian, but I think he would need help figuring all of this out once I am deceased. That's a good question, Holly.
Yeah. So we do not determine here at the program what is or what is not a QDE. Again, that's up to the IRS and to the SSA, but we can certainly provide high-level guidance for that, but we may not be able to provide guidance on an individual item.
What if you decided you didn't want to use the ABLE account anymore? Can you close it and move the funds to a regular checking account?
You can close the account and move the funds. Again, you may be subject to the 10% penalty on the interest portion of that account since it's not being used for a QDE.
ABLE accounts are very new to me, so I'm trying to understand the point of having one. Is it a tax deduction? Do you have to specify and qualify each expense?
Yep. So again, the benefits of an ABLE account is it allows the account owner that is living with the disability to save in a tax advantaged account, meaning the interest and earnings that they earn are tax free when they spend that money on a QDE. And so that's really one of the main benefits. But then again, if you're looking at the population of folks who may be on a means tested public benefit, it allows them to save beyond the $2,000 resource limit without impacting those benefits up to that $100,000 that is excluded by SSI.
Right. So money in that account wouldn't be considered by Medicaid or SSI.
That's correct.
I'm a therapeutic foster parent to 3 foster siblings that I will be adopting, but can I open the ABLE accounts now being the foster parent?
Let me get that question answered by our legal, and let me get back to you on that. Because I don't know how the foster parent situation works, if there's any other type of guardianship that's in place with that, or power of attorney type of situation there. And so I would want to be really clear on the foster parent piece.
Are performance returns available on the investment options?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Does Fifth Third Bank manage the investment portfolios, or is that outsourced to another financial group?
Yep. So that is under the purview of the program manager, which is a census trust company, and they have an investment department that oversees those six model portfolios.
Going on vacation, and although funds from the ABLE account can't be used for that, if I took my child to an amusement park and they couldn't walk all day due to their disability, could the funds be used for renting a mobile device at the park?
I would think so, because again, that's something that they need, and it relates to their disability.
All right, this is the last question in the Q&A. So if you did put a question in the chat and it has not been asked yet, please put it in the Q&A so we can make sure that we get to it. What about those identified as disabled by the Social Security Administration and receive SSDI?
So yeah, so if you're, I don't know if you're asking about account eligibility. But yes, if you are on SSDI as a result of your disability, you are eligible for an ABLE account, assuming that that the disability onset prior to the age of 26, currently soon to be 46.
And Jean, that's eligibility for an NCABLE account. I don't know if you're referring to it protecting assets or not, but that shouldn't matter with SSDI because that's based on work history and disability. So anyway, if you wanted to clarify, you could in the Q&A if we didn't answer your question. Okay, well, that is all of the questions in the Q&A. Oh, I think one more popped up. Regarding an investment option, is there a way to choose an index fund option?
So we don't currently offer an index fund option within our investment offerings.
All right, that was the last question in the Q&A then. Okay. Let's just checking over in the comments real quick. Examples of a non-valid QDE would be gifts, gambling, and alcohol. Yes, those would definitely be examples of.
I think you'd be hard pressed to show that how that maintains or improves your quality of life.
So here's a question in the chat that I see just because it's near the bottom. If a member uses the account to purchase a home, is that home then shielded from Medicaid consideration? Or once the funds go into the mortgage down payment, is that no longer protected?
Well, I don't know what all Medicaid looks at in terms of assets, so I'm not able to answer that, but I can certainly try to do some research to see if the home would be considered an asset by Medicaid, and you get that answer back to you.
And typically, I believe that primary residence is not counted in that anyway.
I'm thinking you're allowed to have a home and be on Medicaid. And the reason why I'm thinking that is I just recently had to put my father on Medicaid, and he's allowed to have one home and one vehicle.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's different types of Medicaid or not.
Another question popped up in the Q&A. Were parents and grandparents able to contribute to the $19,000? Or was the limiting factor the contribution at what SSI and is earned by the individual?
So in terms of the contribution limit, there's an annual contribution limit of $19,000 for 2025 to the account, no matter what source it comes from. So if the parents and the grandparents both contribute, they have a single contribution limit of $19,000. It's not $19,000 each. There's a single annual limit for the account. And then if the account owner is working, then the account owner themselves can, they have an expanded limit, which is the lesser of their earned income or the one person poverty level for the prior year. So up to $34,060 for 2025.
Thank you. All right, last chance to put a question in the Q&A. And somebody jumped on it. Let's see. Is there any alert given if a U gift is being submitted that might keep someone from unknowingly exceeding the limit?
So I can check on that. I'm not aware of that. And I would hope that if someone is giving a gift that they would make that known to the account owner so they can check that, but I can certainly check and see.
Okay. And because Jeff has a couple things that he's going to check on, and then I can share those answers in the Q&A. We're probably going to wait a little bit to send out the follow-up email just because just going to need some time to get answers. I will share that the recording will be posted to ECAC's YouTube channel before the follow-up email goes out. So if you go to our ECAC.org YouTube, you'll be able to see that and share that from there. Make sure you go to ECAC.org YouTube, because ECAC by itself is a hockey team. Thank you, Jeff and Christy, for this. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. We hope it was very helpful for all of you. And actually, I just want to reiterate, following the Treasurer's Office and NC Able on social media, that is how I learned about the change with Medicaid and the Medicaid clawback provision and the 529 stuff. It showed up in my Facebook feed. And I was like, wow, there were some big changes to NC Able. And I immediately emailed Kristen Merrick and was like, hey, is this true? And if so, we need you guys to come on because we need to make sure that families know about this. This is really huge, because I know a lot of folks that were very hesitant to get an ABLE account because of that Medicaid clawback provision. So, Jeff, I just thank you guys for making this happen so quickly. I appreciate you coming on. Again, we're going to take probably a couple days to get the follow-up email out, just so Jeff has time to get some answers to those questions. But again, the recording will be posted hopefully today or tomorrow to ECAC's YouTube channel, and that's ECAC.org. If you type in ECAC.org YouTube, it'll take you to our YouTube channel. I want to thank our ASL interpreters today. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. And we hope everyone has a fantastic rest of your week. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Christy.
Bye, everyone.